SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
Corinth Nursery has been your one-stop shop for everything green and growing at the same location for over 50 years in the heart of downtown Corinth. The best selection of not only trees, shrubs, and flowers, but stock up on decor and all your supply needs. Visit our new website for full details, corinthnursery.com.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right. Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. Reminding you, as I often do, a lot of cool things to do right here in the glorious state of Mississippi. Go to visitmississippi.org. And my pals over there at Superior Catfish, they make homegrown Mississippi-made catfish produced in Macon, Mississippi. Please go to superiorcatfish.com, and you can go to store.superiorcatfish.com, and guess what? It comes right to your house. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, today's guest, part two, because part one sometimes just doesn't complete, the message, complete the interview, complete the process of really getting the entire skinny. He's a dear pal, born and raised in Meridian, Mississippi now, resides in Reno, Lake Tahoe, and Oxford, Mississippi. Spent some time there because he is a hottie toddy. I could immediately tell that this guy was just crazy organized, so knowledgeable beyond description, ran a tight ship with this really nice, wonderful smile, very warm and inviting. He's a skilled marketing communications professional with over 30 years of experience in politics, public policy, and corporate public affairs. His expertise ranges across numerous industry sectors, including gaming and hospitality, real estate and land use planning, emerging technologies, and economic development. His experience in the public sector is broad and diverse, serving as an economic development specialist for the U.S. Agency for International Development, focusing on Latin America and the Caribbean because he wanted to go get a tan. I'm just kidding. He later joined the White House staff, serving in the office of the vice president, and later as special assistant to the president, where he participated in the planning and execution of media and public relations strategies for numerous federal initiatives, including the Clean Air Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. Sorry about that. Following his government service, he established a public affairs consulting practice, which took him away from Mississippi even further for a while, focusing on the state and federal government relations. He later joined forces with one of the largest independent marketing communication firms in Western United States, serving as executive vice president, overseeing expansion of the firm into new markets and spearheading the gaming and hospitality practice. For the last 20 years or so, he's owned and operated his own marketing communications issue management firm. So let's dig a little deeper with my dear pal, Jay Palmer. Hello, Jay.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me back on again.
I love it. You're like Cecilia, my daughter, who when I had her on, she was really nervous. And it ended so fast, she said that she goes, wait a minute, I'm not done. I got more to say. And I said, oh, now you got more to say. So she keeps asking, when am I going to get back on? When am I going to get back on? I said, I will let you know. Just, you go do your New York chef thing, and it won't be long. But it's great to have you on again. Are you in?
I am in northern Nevada, very close to Lake Tahoe and the southern end of Washoe County, right off the Mount Rose Highway.
So your bride artist is from that neck of the woods?
That's correct. Yeah, she was born and raised here, fourth generation Nevadan, and she and I met in Washington D.C. And I think I mentioned on the last interview that we had that we woke up in 1992, November of 1992, and there was a new president, Bill Clinton, and neither one of us had jobs. So we were looking at each other going, okay, come January, we're going to have to figure out a way to, to make a living. So I had spent time in California in 1988 working for George Bush's presidential campaign, and just loved Northern Nevada and the scenery
Sure.
and the altitude and the lake and the high desert. And so I said, let's just give that a go. And it it turned into 30 years.
Wow, isn't it crazy? Artists, did she grow up a big skier? Because Gwen used to go to Colorado every year. That was their trip, and she learned to ski at a very young age, and I learned to ski after 30, so which was a big difference. I've gotten better, but it's not pretty at all, and it's always a little scary coming down the mountain when you grow up in the Mississippi Delta, and the highest thing you ever climbed was the levee. So
Right.
for you, was she a big skier, and did you get into that, or do you guys ski now?
She her home that she grew up in is 20 minutes from the Mount Rose ski area, which is a day skier area up on the Mount Rose Highway. So yes, they had always had annual passes and always went up there and still do. My wife and Artis and my younger daughter both have passes right now for the season, so they go regularly. I learned to ski the hard way. Made a trip with some fraternity brothers when I was about 21 years old, out to Colorado, and I don't know. I may have been sitting in the snow more than I was on the skis, but I finally got the hang of it and got decent at it, but not to the extent that my family does. They love it, and my son was a competitive snowboarder at Squaw Valley. So
Yeah. Well,
they
there you go.
they really went full in the Lake Tahoe alpine lifestyle.
I did this charity event called the American Ski Classic for a lot of years. My buddy Terry Ahola, who was a U.S. ski team member, would bring, he introduced me to all the folks. So it's one thing getting on the mountain and skiing a little bit. It was probably my third time to ski. And they give you skis and they give you these cool jackets. When you get skis, you got to race. There I was at the top, and I think my partner was Franz Klammer, pro skier. At different times, you have different, pros, and then have a celebrity, and we'd race against other celebrities, and there were 3 other people who bought their way in as a team, so it was a 5-man team. I got to tell you something. Franz, he'd try to push me down the mountain, and I said, Franz, I swear, if you push me down this mountain, you're going with me. Do not push. They get all worked up, and I made it down twice without falling, but there were some serious falls that I had. I remember crossing into the lane J. I lost control, and I flew into the lane where, is it David Carradine, the Revenge of the Nerds? And I swear I could feel my skis across his eyelashes. I mean, I almost killed him. And everybody's going, oh my God, Azar almost killed, like that. And so everybody would gather to watch me ski. And then they asked me to write the official World Alpine Championship song in 2015. And I was going like, what the heck? I love it. Because I got to know them so well and I understood them. So I was able to really dig into that song. It wrote itself pretty quick because I knew Terry and some of these guys and had spent so much time with them. They're very high strung, but they're so much in control when they're skiing. And it looks like, a bird fly. It's just beautiful. But their personalities are intense. Thus, all that speed, and they love all that. That was a lot of fun getting to do that. The guy from the Mississippi Delta writing the Alpine Ski Championship song. So there you go. Do you guys spend half the year there and half in Oxford, or are you able to do as much in Oxford as you'd like to?
We have a business out here in Nevada, and I have to stay fairly close to that. So I've tried to use our place in Oxford as our main getaway for football season for sure. We try to make all the conference football games at the home games, and then try to come out in the spring as well and catch a little baseball. But that's a work in progress. I'll try to spend time there, and I've also got a farm in Kemper County, family farm that was in our family for over 150 years that I have some help with, thank goodness, but I need to start spending more time and keeping more eye on that. So, things will evolve. Things will evolve right here. But yeah, we're pretty tied to the Reno, Carson City area right now with some business commitments.
This show we're having right now is like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing because we have to take a break. In that segment, we talked about nothing, I don't think. So let's take a quick break. My pal, Jay Palmer, veteran public affairs maestro and advisor, and Mississippi native. We're going to be right back. Superior Catfish is a Mississippi native, making Mississippi proud that they make some of the most wonderful catfish you could ever have, produced right here in Mississippi. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Jay has spent a lot of time celebrating Mississippi. It's how we met, doing the bicentennial events together and beyond. It was amazing working with him, and I got a dear friend out of it. We'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar.
Took forever, it seemed, to find you. Less than a second for me to adore you. Hey, 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 real Laura, I've been dying for you. Took forever, it seemed, to find you. Less than a second for me to adore you. Hey, 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 real Laura. Hey, 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 real Laura. Yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now.
Steve Azar rocking into a Mississippi Minute. Happy New Year, you guys. It's still the new year. I hope your resolutions are still staying, true. You're staying true to them. I know it's difficult. And I know as the winter comes, sometimes you'll go, I don't want to work out this morning, but you should. You should work out. Just do it. Speaking of working it out, I want you to work out Superior Catfish. Get it to your house. Go to store.superiorcatfish.com. There's catfish and there's Superior Catfish. And visit Mississippi.org. So many cool things to do, man, that scream Mississippi. And you will just love it. So plan a road trip to some different cities around Mississippi. Stay a while and fall in love with Mississippi all over again. It's such a special place. Jay and I are we're all in, man. We're all in when it comes to our home. Jay Palmer is my guest today. Hey, Jay, you had to have some crazy curveballs and some pretty funny stories that are not classified at this point, right? I would like for me and you to do a little trade-off. I'll tell some stories that I probably will get in trouble for telling that I said I would never tell if you give me something worth that. So why don't we trade a couple stories?
Okay, I think that's fair. Yeah, without being too much of an insider, there were some opportunities there to excel in your job, and there were some opportunities to fall flat on your face. And we always used to joke, you're only as good as your last event or your last trip. If you had a bad one, you had some making up to do. But one part of my job early in the George H.W. Bush administration was to go everywhere he went in town during the day and at night. We'd send somebody ahead of time, and I would go along with president in the motorcade. And we were early in the administration, 1989, and he was going around and swearing in members of the cabinet. And it came time to do Jack Kemp, famous Buffalo Bills quarterback who was a congressman, and he was head of housing and urban development, the secretary, and we went over to swear him in. Big auditorium in front of a lot of the employees of housing and urban development, and Jack Kemp always brought a football with him. He loved to throw it around on stage and that sort of thing, and we knew that was going to happen. So he gave the president a football at the end of the event, as a little commemoration of him visiting HUD and doing the oath of office. for him. So we got back in the car and went back to the White House, and we were out on the South Lawn right outside the Oval Office. And I had ended up with the football in my hand. I think it went from the president to the president's personal aide to me. So I was on a different car. So I kind of went trotting over there and handed the personal aide the football. The president took it out of the personal aide's hand, and he gives me this motion to go out for a pass. Now, keep in mind, this is January. It's not snowing, but it's wet. I'm wearing a suit and tie, a Burberry trench coat, London Fog trench coat, had a radio hanging off my belt, various wires, to wear a privacy headset and all that. And he's motioning for me to go out for a pass. And there's people watching. There's a White House press pool out there, the people that covered him wherever he goes. So I trot down a little bit there and turn to get a pass. And he gives me another wave, like, go further. And so I take off, drop my notebook, take off, and he lets the ball fly, and it's a hell of a pass. Nice spiral on it, but it is over my head. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm veering off the driveway into the grass, and I'm wearing leather sole shoes, and I'm going, I'm about to make a real idiot out of myself, right? So I've got the choice of either diving for the ball or just kind of waving it off like I couldn't get to it. So I missed it. I let it go, and I turned around, and he's got his hands thrown up in the air like, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you catch the ball? So I pick it up and go trotting back down there and hand it to him. He kind of shrugs his shoulders and walks back in, back into the Oval Office. And all of a sudden, I turn around, the White House press pool's around me, and, they wanted to make something out of it. They wanted to give me this, hey, was that a bad pass? What happened? And I said, no, it wasn't a bad pass. I missed it. I knew better than to criticize the pass, for my own job security. So one of the guys looked at me and said, oh, that's a good answer. And he goes, it's a suck up answer, but it's a good answer. Yeah. But, just one of those moments where you didn't want to be the center of attention. You didn't want to be, in any way noticed, because our job is really very much behind the scenes. But, the president put me front and center in an incident. It did end up in the Washington Post. And a lot of my friends made fun of me for quite a long time about the fact that I dropped the pass.
You're supposed to take it for the team. I could see you in that outfit you were wearing, which was unfootball. And I could see you, taking the plunge and making the big dive for it. But I'm glad you didn't do that. That wouldn't have made any sense. All right, that's pretty good. That's a good one. So I'm going to trade you one right now. I'm going to tell one that I swore I would forget and never tell. There, a lot of times we have these gigs that when you're not doing the bigger theaters and the bigger arenas, bigger whatever, right? The bigger shows, you'd have days off, and sometimes it'd be Sunday, and we were passing through, I can't remember what state, it was in the Midwest. Some of my buddies who were having success at the time would say, hey, have you done that gig yet? I mean, I just didn't pay attention to that a lot, Jay. I just show up, and there it was, So we pull up, I open my blinds in the back of the bus where I'm at in my room, and I look up there, and it's a big strip bar sign. And I'm going like, what are we doing here? It's Sunday. It's Sunday, by the way, and there's no church in sight. So not only am I not going to church that day, and so I'm asking for forgiveness for everybody out there right now. I'm still asking for forgiveness. Not only that, we're playing in a parking lot at a strip club. Now, I saw the movie Warrior. If you guys have not seen Warrior, I don't care. I want you guys to watch the show Warrior. It'll blow your mind. You'll cry your eyes out with Nick Nolte. If you don't cry, then I want to know who didn't cry, because everybody in my family cried, and they said they wouldn't, and they did. But with that said, they would go out and fight outside strip clubs. This is before I knew any of that. So we do our show, and I told my brother Joe, I said, this is before we had our own bus. And we lease buses all the time, And that week we got some bus, and I always wanted leather seats because I felt like cloth seats had no telling what was growing on it. So not only we're at a strip bar outside playing, and it was Sunday, the air condition went out in the bus after the show, and it was the middle of summer, and it was 100 degrees. And so you come off sweating. Well, we get on, and I'm starting to ask for forgiveness. And I put all these sheets down to make sure that I don't contact, I've been very good all week with not contacting the velour or whatever was growing in that. So all of a sudden I wake up in the morning with air conditioning out in the bus, driving down the highway. My face is stuck to the velour. Apparently the sheets had gotten, away from me. I woke up and all of a sudden I had a rash on my face, and I had to call Dr. Joseph Terracina here in Greenville. And I said, Joseph, I don't know what's on my face. And so for 3 months he had to treat it. Every time it got hot, the rash would come out. And I was going, what is on my face? Anyway, long story short, I deserved it I shouldn't have done the gig. I should have walked. I should have found a church, and I didn't. But I gave my brother and everybody and my booking agent total grief, saying, why are we here on a Sunday? And it was a regular gig in a regular venue for a lot of the country artists that would stop, but I paid the price.
Things get scheduled, whether it's a politician, a political figure, or an artist on the road. And sometimes you look at the schedule and you say, where are we going today? And you say, oh, I'd rather not be doing this one. But
we didn't know.
You get what you get.
Yeah, you didn't know. And second of all, I stumbled telling that story because it hurt me to tell it. I got to tell you, that just hurt. So anyway, I hope anybody out there, any priests listening, I'm coming to confession. I've already been to confession. And speaking of concessions, I think that if you were going to be at a concession stand, if they were serving superior catfish, do you like that segue, Jay? Pretty good. It's not great, but pretty good. If somebody's frying up some catfish anywhere on the planet, it needs to be superior catfish. Produced right here in Mississippi. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. It truly celebrates who we are. And folks come from all over the world, and sometimes we can't get them to leave because they truly understand the hospitality that makes us so dang special. And it's you, our people. We'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar with Veteran Public Affairs Maestro Jay Palmer.
Someday I'll be free. Somewhere in this loneliness, I'll find me. I'll find me. I'll find me. There ain't no streets I'm still trying to find my way.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Oh, I'm trying
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now. In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
flying down that levee road.
There's a good chance I'm going to be kicked off the air after telling that story, but that's all right. Steve Azar here with Jay Palmer. He is a veteran public affairs maestro, as I call him, advisor, a Mississippi native from Meridian, has a place in Oxford, lives out there in Tahoe area, and he does a lot of lobbying and his consulting out there. And I appreciate him being on the show. We've worked together quite a bit, doing a lot of stuff for our bicentennial days, some shows with Paul Thorne, Cedric Burnside, et cetera, et cetera. And Jay ran the tightest ship, but he was always walking around with such warmth. It was almost like having the yin and the yang at one time. You usually don't get that personality that's able to make sure everything's running right. It's usually so detail-oriented But Jay always did it with a smile, and he always at such ease. And now I know, because he had to deal with presidents of the United States, dealing with musicians, probably a lot way, way, way simpler task for him. Superior Catfish, it's homegrown in Mississippi. You can get it, guys, at Oktibbeha County Co-op, Clay County Co-op, Piggly Wiggly at Union, Piggly Wiggly in Louisville, Ocean Fresh in Tupelo, Tim's in Macon, where Superior Catfish is made and produced right there in Macon, Mississippi. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. We're celebrating the arts. We're celebrating our land, hunting season right now. Got some of the best hunting in the world. It's right here in Mississippi. All right, Jay, that was story 1 and story 2 there. And let's do one more. You got another story? Something maybe you brought up something a while back when you were in China?
Yeah. Another trip early in the administration, President George H.W. Bush had been ambassador to China. So the Chinese held him in very high regard and had asked him very early in his administration as president to come over for a state visit, an official visit. And, it's always difficult. The Chinese are very rigid in the way they do things. The Chinese Communist Party runs a tight ship, and we have our protocol people and our embassy and our ambassador, and we're always trying to negotiate. But we need things to work a certain way. We have our procedures for security and for foreign policy reasons that we want things to work right. So on that trip, I was still a deputy director and was on the second plane, but the second plane always landed first. And we got a bunch of people off the plane and got them on the ground to get ready for Air Force One to come in. And I landed and we're taxiing, and I looked out the window and I'm seeing, typically, in a foreign country, a motorcade could be 50 cars. I'm seeing 100 cars out there. I mean, and they're all black, kind of like long, limousine type cars, and they all look alike. So I got on the radio and I called the guy that was in charge of the trip, and I said, Bob, what's going on with all these cars? He goes, we're trying to get rid of them, but the Chinese protocol people have shown up with a car for everybody that's on the plane, every individual person that's on the plane. And that was a result of a list that they kept asking for that we had sent them, which designated what the quote unquote official party was. And it looks like a long list because there's a lot of people that come along. There's security, there's military, there's 3 shifts of people working in the military office and the Secret Service, and there's a press office staff, and there's the policy people, the foreign policy people, the Secretary of State and his group. There's just a lot of people. So we sent them this list, and they had a car out there. So I called the director of advance at the time on the plane, and I said, hey, we kind of got an issue here. You're going to come off the plane, and there's just cars. I don't know if we're going to be able to get everybody sorted out that quickly. And he said, well, you better figure it out. We're about to land. So we went to the Chinese and we protocol folks and said, look, this is really awkward. Can you just get these cars out of here? And they said politely no. So we got off the plane and we got everybody kind of shoved in the embassy provided vehicles, and we took off. So we had this like 1 mile long motorcade with all these empty cars. And we went down through Tiananmen Square and past the Forbidden City and making our way to the Daitai guest house, where the official guest house where the president was staying. It was awkward because felt like we were like a half a mile back in the back of the motorcade. But the thing that always kind of struck me is I wonder what all the people standing on the side of the road. There were hundreds and thousands of people lining the parade route. I'm sure the government had sent them out there to welcome him. And I'm wondering what those people were thinking as they're seeing these 50 black cars going by with absolutely no one in them. It had to be a weird sight. So we finally negotiated that out. But, problems like that would take days to solve, sometimes in pre-negotiations. And we got on the ground and we're trying to figure it out in 10 minutes. And that was, that was just a huge stressor because it was beyond our control, but still kind of very emblematic of how things can go very, very badly, very quickly for you.
Wow. I love it. Well, the curveballs come when you're dealing with trying to have things run on schedules and according to spreadsheets and everything, but just doesn't always work out that way. So you got to be able to pivot, and you are the pivot maestro for sure. Okay. For me, Grand Ole Opry night, I'd played the Opry quite a bit at this point. And if you did Friday night TV segment, you had to do the Saturday as well. And so usually did it in the winter when we were off the road. And it was Porter Wagner's show. He was the basically it was his thing, the MC, sort of his deal. We come out and I play my song Flatlands. You know, you're familiar with Flatlands, right?
Yes.
It's all about Mississippi, and it rocks. And I actually did that for Katrina at Ole Miss when we did the show to raise money for Hurricane Katrina efforts. It was a huge fan favorite when we played it, but it did rock. But it was very Mississippi, like I said. We do it, and we get a standing ovation. And he comes out afterwards, and he says, "I thought we were at the Grand Ole Opry." I turned and I looked, and I said, what is he saying over there? What did he say? So I leave. I come back the next night, and his manager comes out, and the head of the Opry, Pete Fisher's there at the time, and he knows I'm a little feisty at times. My brother Joe's there, and he goes, "Hey, Porter would like you to come apologize." And I went, "For what?" And Pete goes, "Oh, no." And Joe goes, "Here comes Steve." And I said, "What for?" And he goes, "Well, you played that song last night about Mississippi, and it was a little bit, it's his show." They kept going, "It's his show." And I said, "We got the crowd stood up. We lit him up." He goes, "It's not the point. It's his show." And I went, "I'm trying to figure this out." And I said, "Oh, just tell Porter I know why he wears those shiny jackets, because he needs all the help to shine." And the manager runs back there. He's going to tell everybody's up in, because I was going like, "Are you kidding me?" So, I was pretty competitive when it came to that. And I respected Porter, but I also was going like, hey, at some point, Porter Wagner was considered different and unique. And what made him different and unique was his edge at the time. And that's what made me be myself. And it was strictly a song about Mississippi and our home. So I was truly offended by that. I said, nobody's going to step on Mississippi. That was one of my times. And I probably said some choice words I'm not going to say on the air to add to it. But I was ready to go get him. I was ready to go back there and take care of business. Anyway, they said, "Steve, breathe a little bit." That was a good night for me.
What probably worked against you is in 20 years in Nashville, you never bought a nudie suit like Porter Wagner wore. If you'd come out in one of his outfits, he might have cut you some slack on the song selection.
Hey, my clothing right now I wear Blue Delta jeans. I love them. I wish I had them back then, but they weren't around. But I'm a jean and T-shirt guy. Give me a $25 or $16 when they're on sale, $16 J. Crew T-shirt, and give me these. I wear the same boots that I've been wearing. I've resold them 3 times. They need to be resold again. I've been putting black duct tape on the bottom so I won't fall, because I need to get that fixed. But man, I'm a purist when it comes to that. Let the music do the talking. Let's take a quick break. My pal Jay Palmer, public affairs advisor, Mississippi native. He's out there in the Tahoe area doing his lobbying thing and consulting thing. He's a dear friend of mine. I love it when he's on Mississippi soil, because we get a lot done when it comes to the whole Visit Mississippi, the creative economy with our buddy Craig Ray. Shout out to Craig, because that's how we met. Superior Catfish, I'm giving you a big shout out. There's Catfish, there's Superior Catfish. Please go to superiorcatfish.com. It's produced right here in fabulous Mississippi, and Macon over there. Oh, yeah. And visit Mississippi.org, like I said. Check out the Blues Trail. You'll end up in Liverpool. I'm Steve Azar.
Back to Highway 61. Yeah, all roads lead back to Highway 61. Highway 61. 61.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
When it comes to the outdoors, we are one. live in one of the best places in America to enjoy the great outdoors. So let's talk about it. Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews. Mondays starting at noon. Here on Super Talk Mississippi. Presented by the Foundation Protecting Our Outdoors Heritage. Listen or watch the show anywhere you get Super Talk Mississippi. This
next to nothing at a bar nowheres. He says, damn the money.
We have a short segment
the money.
we confessed on this show today. Jay and I apparently are good enough friends to spill some beans about some stories and throw ourselves a little under the bus. But the first one, I'm glad I finally got off my chest. It feels good. I feel like I have repented in front of all of you in Mississippi, and I love you guys very much. Speaking of love, I got a love affair for Superior Catfish. There's Superior Catfish. Go to superiorcatfish.com. It tastes as good as one of the greatest songs you've ever heard, if I can say that. I think I can say that. You know, put that in your palate right now. I got it. And visit Mississippi.org. Man, it celebrates so many wonderful things. You know, we got our beautiful, just the sunrises on the Gulf Coast and our beautiful sunsets here in the Delta, everything in between. Elvis Presley over there in Tupelo. We got Slug Burger. I want a Slug's Burger right now in Corinth, Mississippi. Just Natchez, Mississippi, just the beautiful homes. Vicksburg, Mississippi, where St. Al was and where we didn't like each other, but we love each other now. You know, there's so many places. But anyway, love our state. Meridian has been piping out, Jay, a lot of wonderful musicians and songwriters. I would say more than most now. There's been a lot going on there in the creative world and a lot of success. Has Meridian always been that to you? Obviously, we go back to Jimmy Rogers. There's been a lot of great artists that have come from there. But just looking back at your time growing up as a kid and now, and you got to be proud of Meridian.
I'm incredibly proud of Meridian and you know, its role, especially in country music, but you know, also rock and roll. And the Max over there, the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience celebrates everything that's great about Mississippi, music, literary, all of the things that have put Mississippi on the map in such a positive way. But yeah, you know, as a kid, we grew up. You were taught about Jimmy Rogers and his role as the father of country music, and then you know there's so many others. You know, Steve Forbert was a real big influence on rock and roll, and went to New York and played his brand of music at CBGB. And yeah, David Ruffin, you know, one of the front men for the Temptations, was born right down in Wynot, Mississippi.
Right. What about
played
Paul?
In the clubs on Fifth Street? You know,
yeah. What about Paul Davis? Was he from Meridian?
Paul Davis, huge singer-songwriter, great.
Are you kidding?
Great Mississippi story. You know, Haley Williams from Paramore, Mo Bandy, Patrice Monsell, who was huge in gospel music. There's just so many talented people, and there's a whole list of people that were like session musicians, people that started out playing garage bands and you know, touring bands like you, and went on to become big figures in music and in the record industry in Los Angeles and Nashville. It's really phenomenal, and it is something to remember and to talk about and to celebrate.
Can we just say this? On a cool night, let me hold you by the firelight. Some of the best songs, and I go crazy. And I mean, Paul Davis.
One thing I love about what you've done, Steve, is as a songwriter yourself, you've made sure that you've highlighted and celebrated songwriters, and we have so many great ones. Paul Davis obviously comes to mind. You know, Jim Weatherly, my gosh, Midnight Train to Georgia, and a number of other hits by Gladys Knight and the Pips that were so big in the 1970s and 1980s. And that it's that soul and that music and finding those lyrics that are so meaningful to people that make songs have such a long life and such a beautiful life to them. And we need to keep celebrating that and recognizing that as one of Mississippi's great attributes. You know, we're the birthplace of America's music, and there's a reason for that. We don't just claim that. You look at the performers, the entertainers, and then the songwriters and the figures in American music, like our friend Marty Gamblin, God rest his soul, up in Philadelphia, who was a great leader. Marty Stewart, who's out there working all the time promoting Mississippi and playing his brand of country music. We have a lot to be proud of in Mississippi.
I mean, you and me can go on all just forever on this, but our time's up, believe it or not. And I really appreciate you taking a Mississippi Minute, a second Mississippi Minute with me, which will probably lead to a third, but we won't give that away just yet. But Jay, I really appreciate you so much for everything you stand for our friendship, for C-Ray and C-Ray listening, man. You just introducing us because you guys were college dear friends and worked together in D.C. And it's just been a win-win-win, buddy.
Love having the opportunity to just sit around and chop it up with you, Steve. It's a lot of fun. It did get close to a Seinfeld episode, but we'll keep working on that. Maybe down the road we can tighten things up a little bit.
Hey, that was a big old hit show. We talked about nothing today. Maybe my ratings will go up. Who knows? I don't know. Jay Palmer, Mississippi native, dear friend. Superior Catfish, I've made some friends over there. They really love their job. They believe in their product, and you got to check it out. Please go to superiorcatfish.com. It's produced here in Mississippi. And visit Mississippi.org. That celebrates who we are as good as I've ever seen. Check it out. Plan a road trip with your loved ones, and you won't regret it. I've been with Jay Palmer. I'm Steve Azar. I love you guys. Later on.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Get it now. A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.